I remember working at that first job and really like sitting there, really contemplating, like, damn, this is really what you're here doing. But it was a stepping stone because the funny thing is, I needed the experience of that job to get to where I am today. Today was a good day. The weather's starting to get nice. I legit have like 2 solid windows in here that gets like full sunlight. And it's nice when it's like the time of the day when they get like full semi-direct sunshine. It's nice to just come and just sit and just enjoy the sunlight, But today was a good day. I think majority of my days, I would say about 95% of my days are good days. And not because every day is perfect, because it's not ever perfect. But it's kind of like how I reframe or reshape my perspective of like the day itself. And it wasn't always like this. I remember in like, say 2020, everything was going wrong. Like literally everything. Like if you thought something was gonna go wrong, it in fact did. And there was this night I was at Green Acres Mall with my sister, and I remember closing my car and locking my keys in the car. And I came back to the car and I was like pissed and I was like cussing, And then I took a moment to like take a step back and like really think about this, right? So I remember that I was supposed to meet up with a friend on like Crown Heights or something. And I thought maybe I wasn't meant to go to the next location. Maybe something higher than me, bigger than me, that has a greater plan for me intervened. Who knows? I could have gone to the next location, lost my life, but who knows? But something intervened, right? After that night, I started like reframing my mind. So maybe when I get denied for something, or I thought of it, right? When you want to sneeze and you feel the sneeze coming and then it just stops? Yeah, that's what just happened. But yeah, like I was saying, it's like maybe sometimes when you believe you're supposed to have something, you're supposed to be somewhere, there's a bigger, higher being looking out for you. That night, I realized, because once I reframed my mind and said, okay, maybe I wasn't meant to go to Crown Heights that night, I felt like a sense of relief. Like I was relinquishing that control of like, damn, I have this next thing to go do. But something intervened. So I realized that night that there's a path for me, and it's not necessarily what I think it should be. Perfect example of this is, during 2020 was when I graduated from college, and I was really looking for a job. I put out a bunch of applications that nothing was connecting, right? And I remember that I decided to go back to Starbucks to work. So I got transferred to a different store. And at that store, I met this young lady, Caitlin. And Caitlin was currently in college, and she was going through, I think she was doing civil engineering at the time. So we would like talk because I did mechanical, and I'd give her like advice. We became kind of close at the time. And I remember one day I was home and she called me. She's like, hey, you're a mechanical engineer. I was like, yeah. She's like, well, I just had this customer come in and he's looking for a mechanical engineer. I'm like, okay. She's like, here, call his number and talk to him. Because I told him all about you, call him and whatever. So I called him and we immediately scheduled an interview. And like the following week I went there and I got the job on the spot. I started that job. I'm not gonna say it was the worst job in the world, because it wasn't. It wasn't what I believed I should have been doing at the time, right? But like I said, at this point in my life, I started reframing my mind to think there's a bigger picture here, right? This job was a stepping stone to get to the next step. So while I started working at that place, I still was really looking for that job. And I applied to this company, and coincidentally, it's the company I work for now. It took legit 7 months to get the job, calling, emailing. And I remember working at that first job and really like sitting there, really contemplating, like, damn, this is really what you're here doing. But it was a stepping stone, because the funny thing is I needed the experience of that job to get to where I am today. And at the time, I thought, this is just a stepping stone. But it was because I reframed my mind to really concentrate on the journey itself, right? That there's something else out there looking out for my greater good. And I maybe can't see the finish line yet, but that thing, that higher being is guiding me in the right direction. I just believed in it. I trusted in it, right? And then after that, 7 months later, I got the call back and I did the interview. And what's also funny about that, the same job that I was at first, so let's say I got the call for an interview for like the Friday. That Monday, the first job called me like kind of like, there's no work, stay home until I tell you to come back. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm not even worried about that, because I refuse. I refuse to not ace this interview. And technically I was laid off. Technically. But then I went into the interview and did a pretty good job, and I got hired. And then now I'm in Boston. I picked up and moved to Boston. If you would ask me 3-4 years ago if I see myself living in Boston, for example, or another state, I would probably told you no. I can't see it. But like I said, there's a higher being out there, something greater than us that's looking out for all of us. It's just a matter of trusting that process, trusting that journey, just believing in that it will all work out, right? We maybe can't see what the end result will be, but if we're intentional about the things we're doing. So for me, intentional was me calling, emailing, all that good stuff, and eventually it turned into something great. And even till this day, I'm still working, right? Because I don't want to say the grind never stops, because that's kind of like a cliche. And when you think of like grinding, you're gnawing at, eventually breaking out. I don't like to think of it as I'm grinding. I like to think that I'm traveling down a path, right? I'm moving forward in the right direction, and I'm being intentional about what I do to get there. So, relinquishing control and trusting the process, and also being intentional, because without that, the rest kind of doesn't mesh together,